Episode 4. The kind of news that changes everything. Most days in Terrace Gardens had a rhythm. Not organized, not peaceful, but predictable. Morning started with people arguing about basketball. Afternoon turned to the music, jokes, and kids running across the courtyard. Evening meant people sitting on stoops talking about everybody else's business. It was loud, messy, alive. But every once in a while, something happened that made the neighborhood slow down. Not quiet, just slower, like the day itself was trying to understand what had just happened. The afternoon started like every other summer day. The basketball court was full. Dre was yelling about a foul that definitely didn't happen. Peanut was trash talking somebody twice his size. JoJo was explaining a money idea that sounded illegal, but profitable. Anita was roasting everybody from the sidelines like she had been born with a microphone. "You shoot like the rim owe you money," she said to Dre. The whole court laughed, even Dre. Across the courtyard, I sat on the step with my notebook watching. That was something people notice about me sometimes. I watched more than I talked. Not because I was shy, just because when you pay attention long enough, you start noticing things other people miss. Maya and Keisha walked past the courtyard and towards the curry out. They were always together. Where one went, the other followed, but something about the way they walked felt different. Maya looked normal, but Keisha looked like she was carrying something heavy nobody else could see. Normally, Keisha walked like she owned the sidewalk, head high, eyes daring somebody to say something stupid. That day, she kept her head down, and if you knew Keisha, that was strange. I noticed it, but I didn't say anything. Sometimes you feel something isn't right, but you don't know what or why yet. An hour later, Maya came back, alone. She walked straight through the courtyard, past the basketball game, past Miss Bernice's candy door, past Nato arguing with Tony about whether pigeons work for the government, and stopped in front of the steps where I was sitting. "Charlie," she said quietly. I closed my notebook. "What's up?" She hesitated. "You seen Keisha today?" "Earlier. She went somewhere this morning." "Where?" Maya shook her head. She wouldn't say. Something about her voice made the air feel different, even with all the noise around us. "Why?" I asked. Maya looked around the courtyard like she didn't want the whole world hearing her. "She took a pregnancy test." The words didn't feel real at first, just floating there between us. I didn't know what to say. Keisha wasn't supposed to be someone bad things happened to. She was the one who protected people, the one who told boys to back up, the one who walked through the neighborhood like she had everything figured out. But sometimes life doesn't care what role somebody usually plays. Sometimes it just shows up. The sun started dropping when Keisha came back. I noticed her before anybody else. She walked slowly through the courtyard, not angry, not tough, just quiet. Maya saw her and ran over. "Keisha!" They stopped near the benches by the basketball court. The game slowed, people noticed. Keisha sat down. Maya sat beside her. From where I sat, I couldn't hear what they were saying, but I saw Maya's face change. Shock, then worry, then sadness. Maya reached for her hand. Keisha pulled away at first, then leaned forward with her elbows on her knees. Her head dropped, and suddenly the whole courtyard felt different. Even Dre stopped arguing. Peanut leaned towards me. "What happened?" I shook my head. "Man, I don't know." But somebody understood something without saying it. When somebody like Keisha looks scared, something real just happened. By the next morning, the rumors had already started moving. Rumors in Terrace Gardens didn't travel like news. They moved like smoke. Quiet at first, then suddenly everywhere. I sat on the stoop again with my notebook open. Across the courtyard, Jose was fixing a broken stairwell. Miss Bernice had her candy door open early. Kids crowded around buying juice and chips. Nato stood nearby trying to sell a toaster, a bicycle tire, and an old VCR. "I got technology today," he told anybody who walked past. Nobody believed him, but Nato believed in his business. Near the basketball court, Dre and Peanut were arguing again. "That was a foul." "You just missed." "You pushed me." "You can't shoot." JoJo stood nearby explaining another questionable plan. I'm telling you, bootleg CDs would sell crazy out here. That's illegal, Peanut said. That's opportunity. Man, that's jail. Before JoJo could argue back, Nita walked past shaking her head. Why JoJo always look like he about to make a terrible decision? Everybody laughed, except JoJo. Mind your business, Nita smirked. It is my business. Then Maya appeared again, and the moment I saw her face, I know things hadn't gotten better. You talked to her? I asked quietly. She shook her head. She won't talk to nobody. What she say? Nothing. Maya sat beside me. Her voice dropped. She been crying all morning. That didn't sound like Keisha. Keisha didn't cry. Keisha was the person people went to when they were crying. But the truth about strength is sometimes it's just a mask people wear until something breaks through it. But early afternoon, the whispers had started. Nobody said anything directly. But conversations changed when Keisha walked by. People lowered their voices, eyes followed her. And the strange thing about rumors is sometimes people don't even know the story yet. But they still talk like they do. When Keisha finally stepped outside, the courtyard reacted immediately. Not loudly, but noticeably. Usually when Keisha walked through the terrace gardens, people moved aside without thinking. Not because she was violent, but because her presence demanded space. That day, she walked like someone trying to disappear, head down, hands folded tight in front of her. And in places like terrace gardens, trying not to be seen was the fastest way to get noticed. She passed the basketball court first. The game slowed. Even Dre stopped talking. Peanut leaned towards me. What happened to her? I didn't answer. Because sometimes the right thing to do is not repeat a story that isn't yours to tell. She kept walking, past Miss Bernice's candy door, past kids chasing each other through the courtyard. Then she passed Nardo. Usually Nardo would ask for money or try to sell something. But that day, he just looked at her quietly, then nodded. Stay strong, he said. It was the most serious thing anyone had ever heard him say. Near the alley, Quinn and two older guys were shooting dice. They watched Keisha walk past. Quinn frowned. Man, why she look like that? One of the guys shrugged. Probably boyfriend drama. Maya heard it immediately, and Maya didn't play when it came to Keisha. She stepped towards them. You shouldn't talk about people like that. Quinn shrugged. Man, I ain't say nothing. Yeah, you did. Before the situation could turn into something worse, Miss Sheila appeared from the community center doorway. Hey, what's going on over here? Nobody answered, because Miss Sheila didn't tolerate foolishness. She looked at Quinn, then looked across the courtyard towards Keisha walking away, and the expression on her face changed. She had seen enough life to recognize certain situations without needing them explained. As the sun started setting, the courtyard cooled down. The basketball game ended. The music softened. The kids started heading inside. Keisha sat alone on the bench near the playground, just watching younger kids run around. No jokes, no attitude, just quiet. For the first time since she came back from the clinic, she looked small. Eventually, Maya walked over and sat beside her. Keisha didn't push her away this time. They sat together in silence for a long time. Then they started talking quietly. From across the courtyard, I couldn't hear the words, but I saw Maya reach for her hand. And this time, Keisha didn't pull away. She squeezed it and leaned forward like the weight she was carrying had finally become too heavy to hold by herself. That night, I sat by the window again. The courtyard lights buzzed outside. Somebody still played music in the distance. Terrace Gardens looked normal again. But I had started understanding something about people. Everybody saw Keisha different. Some saw attitude, some saw toughness, some saw gossip, but very few people saw the person underneath all that. And that made me think about something else. I opened my notebook and I wrote in my journal. Rumors are loud, but the truth is usually quiet. People talk about situations they don't understand because it makes them feel like they know something. But sometimes the strongest thing a person can do is choose compassion instead of curiosity. Because when someone's life changes in a moment, the last thing they need is the whole world watching. Sometimes what God asks from us isn't answers. Sometimes it's mercy.